You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. Bitcoin, Ether, Ripple, Litecoin, and more. Cryptocurrencies and other digital assets are taking the financial world by storm. This exploding market provides everything a savvy trader needs: volatility, volume, and liquidity. Provided you know how to find it. That's where we come in. Welcome to the Crypto Rundown. Each week, we'll break down the latest trading activity, trends, and developments on everything from coins to tokens, futures, and even OTC options. If it's moving the crypto markets, then you'll find it on the Crypto Rundown. This program is brought to you by Genesis Volatility, also known as GVol, home of institutional-grade crypto options analytics. Whether you're trading CeFi options or DeFi options, cryptocurrencies move. Use GVol Analytics to analyze implied volatility, model realized volatility, structure positions, and unlock alpha. For more information, visit gvol.io. That's GVOL.io. Now it's time to dive into the exploding world of cryptocurrencies and digital assets. It's time for the Crypto Rundown.
All right, everybody. That music means we are back once again for the Crypto Rundown, the program here on the Options Insider Radio Network, where we look a little bit farther afield. We look beyond what's lighting it up in Tesla and Apple and SPY and all that fun, and look a little bit farther afield, see what's going on out there in the Ether, the Bitcoin, the rest of the altcoin universe. We're going to talk about the volume, the unusual activity, the skew, all that good stuff, and a whole bunch more. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as from the ever-exciting, at least we tend to think so, Options Insider Radio Network, back after being off last week for the Juneteenth holiday here in the U.S. Hope you missed us, but we're back. If I sound a little bit different, because I am coming at you from the southern studio this week, so not back in the Chi-Town studio, but fun stuff to be had on the show here. Nonetheless, remember, if you want more content in your lives, and who can blame you if you do, theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go to get your hands on all of that great content we have out there for you. Of course, 200 plus hours worth of great content. You can stream literally for nearly 10 days, nonstop, no breaks, no eating, no bathroom breaks, no sleeping, nonstop streaming. That's how much goodness we have waiting for you there. The second you hit that button, of course, you also get your name in the hat. You want to do that pretty soon because June coming to a close rapidly. We're going to pick the winner of the June Pro Trading Crate pretty soon. Get your name in the hat now. You too can be entered to win, as well as live access to this, everything else we do. Pro Q&As, options oddities, all that good stuff. TheOptionsInsider.com/pro is the place to go. As we go into our first segment, it is time for the Bitcoin Breakdown.
It's time to explore the latest trending activity, trends, and developments across the world's leading crypto market. It's time for the Bitcoin Breakdown.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Bitcoin Breakdown, the portion of the show where we break down everything going on in the world's leading digital asset. Yep, we're talking about Bitcoin, looking a wee bit bigger, actually a lot bigger since our last show, which of course was 2 weeks ago, listeners. Back on the upswing after just a lot of 1, 2, 3 body blows to the crypto space over the last couple of months. SEC coming after Binance, coming after Coinbase. There were a lot of negative headlines dragging everything down on top of the global broader fears about the economy and everything else. So it seemed like a lot was weighing on the crypto world. It seems like all that has been alleviated since our last show because we are back north of that magical, mythical, psychologically important 30,000 level. Almost 30,100 when we kicked off the show. 30,094 to be precise. Of course, that's a far cry from our last show 2 weeks ago. We were at 25,826. That puts us at 4,268 handles north of where we were this time 2 weeks ago. That's a heck of a lot of living. Of course, we got even higher in the interim. Last Friday, listeners, we were north of 31,000, 31,395. And before that, on Thursday, June 15th, we hit the low of 24,838. So that's quite the range since our last show. Apparently all is right with the crypto world again. Nobody's concerned about anything else, including maybe potential insurrection going on over there in Russia or anything else lurking on the horizon. The SEC concerns, maybe those are in the rearview mirror now as well, at least from a market perspective, because it has been mostly rally, mostly green since our last episode, listeners. Of course, the aggressive nature of this move, people always think upside moves equate to lower vol. And in the equity realm, that is traditionally the case. But when you have sharp moves like this and a lot of movement, and also when you have a skew scenario, that's a little bit more, shall we say, fluid in the crypto space than it is in the equity space, then you can have moves like this where we are rallying and yet vol also increasing. On our last show, listeners, by the way, all this data coming at you courtesy of our friends over there at Amber Data, amberdata.io, the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires out there. If you do go over there, first off, tell them we sent you. They'll love to see you. And B, you're going to see a heck of a lot of data, including a lot more that we just don't have time to get to on the show every week. We're really just scratching the surface of what they have to offer over there. amberdata.io, the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires. Listeners, you will see that the vol looking frothy again on the show. 45 and about a third when we kicked off the show. That's almost exactly 4 points north of where we were this time last show. 41.40 is where we were hanging out in that front month 30-day vol, listeners. So obviously getting frothier. Throw aside that notion that we see with VIX if your rally vol comes in. Crypto, its own beast, different skew than what you're seeing out there in equities. And as a result, you can see moves like this, which is intriguing. Let's go a little bit farther out, though, on the term structure. Let's see what's going out. Let's say 6 months, where some calmer heads may prevail. Is vol getting a little bit juicier out there? The answer is yes, actually more than we're seeing in the front month. We were on a 43 and a quarter on the 180-day vol on our last show. 49.85 when we kicked off this show. A whopping 6.6 points higher 6 months out. So that's a heck of a lot more vol. Usually, again, longer term, you see calmer, cooler, more collected heads out there. But looking frothier out there as a result as well, which is interesting. Let's get a little bit closer when we're talking about skew. Let's go right up to the wire. Let's go into 7-day skew because, as we all know, everything these days is 0 day. All anybody wants to talk about is the front day, let alone the front week. But we'll keep it to a week, listeners. Let's go out 7 days. From a skew perspective, have we seen a market swing out there? I'd be surprised if we hadn't, given the aggressive nature of the upside move we've seen over the past couple of weeks. Looking at the skew data, that reflects it. 7-day skew, so the weekly skew. We were at a -6 on our last show 2 weeks ago. Coming in today, +3. That's a pretty big swing. Let's go out a little bit farther. Let's go out 1 month. Let's look here again. Yeah, it looks like we have a little bit of a swing out there on the 30-day front as well because, of course, we were looking pretty negative on the show. Last show, -3.15. Coming into today, swung the other direction, +3, +3.3, actually. So over a 6-point swing to the upside. Let's go a little bit farther out. Let's go 6 months, see if things are as optimistic out there. And so far, the answer is yes. We were at a -1.3 on our last show, so not quite as negative, not quite as bearish out there on the 6-month skew 2 weeks ago. Coming into the show this week, +5.5, so a pretty big swing, over a 6-point swing there as well. So skew swinging to the upside again makes some sense. It also explains why we're seeing vol creep up as we move up, because the skew is getting a little bit bid to the upside there. Let's go out to the OI. Let's see what's open out there on Deribit right now. We're seeing more contracts piling in out there, listeners. We got 242,000 calls open. That's up 42,000 from this time last week. And the puts, 117,000. That's up 24,000 from this time last week. Of course, we're coming into the tail end of the month, so we'll see a lot of this June paper roll off the board. And as we've said before many times on this show, crypto loves a quarterly, so we'll see a lot of this OI go the way of the dodo. It'll be interesting to see how we rebuild going up. Looks like paper may be overwriting a good chunk of those. So that's kind of interesting with BITO hovering around the 17 strike. Maybe a little bit of a fade going on there. And then right behind it, we have the Jan 2025 30-35 call spread going up about 5,800 times today. It's like paper buying it for around 19 cents. So more love on that 30-35 vertical we've talked about before. Interesting, we've said this before, that if you have upside Views on Bitcoin, there are better ways to go about expressing it than a 5-point vertical that is well over a year away. You're not going to get a lot of bang for that buck. Even if we shoot up to 35, which we are threatening, we were closer this week than we were obviously 2 weeks ago, but still got a bit of a ways to go out there in Bitto. Again, we're not at Bitcoin's at a 30,000, but Bitto hanging out at about a 17. So got a long way to go until we hit the 30 strike, but still. This kind of gets back to the conversation we had on volatility views as well about using the June 30-40 vertical, 6 months out in VIX. Maybe not the best way to go there, and this is even longer term. So interesting choice. Not my favorite, but hey, it's out there for size and something for you folks to notice. We keep on rolling to explore the altcoin universe.
It's time to move beyond Bitcoin and find out what's moving the rest of the crypto marketplace. It's time to boldly venture into the altcoin universe.
All right, everybody, altcoin time. Let's get out there. Let's start with our market cap. Number 10 listeners, we got Solana gaining a little bit of juice back, but still looking a lot lighter than it was, a month ago. 16 and change when we kicked off the show. Puts the level to break into the top 10 from a market cap perspective right now, $6.5 billion. That is a lot lower than we were talking about even a month ago. So it used to be at $8 billion was the cutoff. Before that was $10 billion. So a lot to keep an eye on out there. Number 9, we have Tron moving into the 9 spot, $6.5 billion for them as well. Number 8, Doge hanging out still, firmly locked. Nothing can shake it loose, listeners. Firmly locked at the number 8 spot with a little over $9 billion worth of market cap. Number 7, we've got Cardano, $9.8 billion worth of market cap. Number 6, XRP, $24.8 billion. Our old friend XRP. Will they, won't they? It doesn't seem like anything's happening this week, listeners, but intriguing nonetheless. Number 5, we got USD Coin, $28.3 billion. Number 4, BNB, $36.6 billion. Number 3, it's Tether, $83.25 billion. Numero due, you know what it is. It's ETH, $222 billion. And the big dog, Bitcoin, well north of the $500 billion level again, $584 billion worth of market cap this last week's rally. Obviously showing itself in the top half there of our market cap list. Let's get out to number 2 in the market cap list. Number 1 in a lot of your hearts. It is ETH, also looking a lot more robust than it was this time 2 weeks ago. On our last show was at a 1736. Coming into the start of the show today, 1849, putting it up 113 handles over the course of the last 2 weeks. Of course, we got higher in the interim. We got up to about 1932. That was on Friday, June 23rd, and the low came June 15th again. So that was a low for both Bitcoin and ETH, 1632. So exactly 300-point range, 1932 on the upside, 1632 on the dark side. And we're hanging out right now towards the upper end of that, but obviously nearly 100 points away from the high of 1932. So an intriguing couple of weeks out there, really, in ETH. We're seeing something interesting out there in ETH right now. We're seeing a lot of evolution in Bitcoin vol. ETH vol kind of hanging out. It's kind of glued at this 43 level. It was there 2 weeks ago. Coming into the start of the show again today, it is exactly at 43. So we're seeing that it takes a little more these days to budge ETH out of its vol doldrums here, I suppose you can call them. Let's go a little bit farther out on the term structure, see if we see any difference. On the 180-day vol on our last show is also a 43. 43, the magic number. Pretty close to the Douglas Adams 42 magic number out there. Right now, it's 47.3, 180 days out. So that's a little bit farther out. Let's get to the skew. Let's look at the front week skew first, 7-day skew. On our last show, it was pretty markedly negative, nearly a -9. Coming into the start of this show 2 weeks later, it's flat. So no longer looking as dire to the downside, but also not bid to the upside either. So it has swung back to flat, and that's about it, which is kind of interesting. Let's go out a little bit farther. Let's go out a month, see how that 1 month skew is looking. On our last show, it was pretty decidedly negative, -5.25. Coming in to start the show today, +1.5, so swinging pretty aggressively in the other direction, but not quite catching a bid yet to the upside. Let's go out even farther. Let's go out 6 months. That skew was flat. Coming in to start the show today, +3.5. So we are seeing a general move to the upside in the skew, just nothing super explosive, which shows us, hey, we are enormously bid to the upside right now. It's mostly flat to slightly biased to the upside. But again, if you're looking at it compared to 2 weeks ago, we are no longer hanging out with a pronounced bid to the puts. So some evolution there. Let's see if there's any evolution on the OI front, and the answer is a little bit. Again, going to be a big shakeup next week when we see June roll off the board. Right now, almost 2.2 million calls open on Deribet's, up about 20,000 contracts from this time 2 weeks ago. The puts, 883,000 open on Deribet's, up about 58,000. So not a heck of a lot of change there. Let's see if there's any change going up out there in the size OI. What are the biggest changers out there on the week? And let's see. Let's start at number 5. We have the 1,850 calls. They've gained 12,800 contracts over the last couple of weeks. Number 4, we have the 2,100 calls. They've gained 14,500 contracts. Number 3, the 17.5 puts. Some puts sneaking in there as well. They've gained nearly 15,000 contracts. Number 2, the 2,000 strike calls. They've gained 21,000 contracts. Those are interesting, maybe part of a potential role, because the number 1 OI changer out there, mover and shaker over the past couple of weeks, was the 1,900 strike calls. They lost 22,000 contracts. So maybe somebody taking advantage of this upside move to roll their 1,900 calls up to the pars, the 2,000 calls. Either way, kind of an even exchange there, 22,000 versus 21,000 for the 2,000 calls. Interesting to watch out there. Also some puts sneaking into our top 5. So it's not all calls all the time. It's just mostly calls all the time. Where you might have wanted to have some calls over the past couple of weeks was out in Solana. Nice little lift there. It was $14.95 on our last show. $16.35 today, so up about 1.4 on the last couple of weeks. XRP actually given up some ground. It was 51, almost 52 cents on our last show. 47.6 cents today, so off a little over 4 cents on the week. Good old Doge, kind of treading water. Not a heck of a lot going on out there. Litecoin, though, catching a bid, 76.43 on our last show, a little north of 87.25 coming into the start of the show today. That puts it up 10, almost 11 handles, about 10.85 over the course of the last few weeks. Let's look at a few others. Cardano gaining a little bit of ground, 27.40 at the end of our last show, 28.1. So not much of an evolution, really, in Cardano out there. Polkadot, 4.51 on our last show, 5.12 this week, up 61 cents. And good old Shiba Inu actually gaining a little bit of ground out there. It was a whopping 0.000006 on our last show this week, a whopping 0.000007. So all you out there clinging to the hopes of the Shiba Inu Lambos, getting a little bit closer this week, but still a long way to go. All right, that is going to do it for us here on this Just the Facts, ma'am, edition of the Crypto Rundown. Live here from the Southern Studio. Hope you all are having a good time out there. Hope you're all weathering these markets and this aggressive move we saw to the upside in crypto since our last show. Don't worry, it won't be 2 weeks since our next show. We'll be back again next week. Right here in the Southern Studio again, tackling all comers in the world of crypto derivatives. Stay tuned to the network throughout the rest of the week for all the usual slate of shows you've come to expect. Remember, if you want more content, theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go. Otherwise, we'll see you back here next Monday, another episode of the Crypto Rundown. Stay safe out there.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions@theoptionsinsider.com.